Every single day, I wanted to come on talk a little bit about money making moves. And money making moves means different things to different people. For some of y'all, it's very clear, how do I make money? For some of y'all, it's about what is my relationship with money? And both are very important questions because you can't think about making money until you realize what is your relationship with money. And I tell you, like, for me, my relationship with money has always been about survival. Like, we grew up poor, we came with nothing. And so having money became the only sort of focus and identity at all expenses. And so for me, my relationship with money is not has never been healthy, man. Like, it's always motivated me for the wrong reasons because of this fear that everything can be taken away. And when you're operating from a position of fear, you're never gonna think big. You're never gonna think opportunity. You're never gonna open yourself up for new ideas because you're so focused on holding on to what you got. And the other truth about money is you can't hold on to it. It's gonna go. The more you have, the faster it leaves. Uh, and so, as soon as you realize what the relationship that you have with money is, it's easier to figure out how to make more of it. Piyush, what's up, man? Thanks for joining. Um, and for me, it's been an interesting journey because uh, as an immigrant, you're taught to, like, put everything in a safety net. You go to school, you get your education, you get your 9 to 5, you stay there for 20, 30 years, hopefully get a, raise along the way. You get that first house, you make sure it's big enough for the next 25 years, and you go. And most of us that are South Asians or from any of these immigrant cultures, we have a very, very unhealthy relationship with money. And nobody teaches us how to create a healthy relationship with money, but they teach us how to hoard it, how to hold on to it, how to think about it, and you can't touch it, you can't feel it. It's a number on a piece of paper that you see, and for some reason it consumes 90% of your thought. Especially when you're thinking about startups, or especially when you're thinking about starting your own venture, the idea of money stops so many people, even though you can't actually hold it. Even to visualize, what the fuck does $1 million look like? Like, what does it look like? We all want it. Everybody wants to be a millionaire. But can you visualize it? You can't. You think you can, but you can't. And so it's such a weird. What's up, Millie? Thanks for coming by, man. It's such a weird little thing that I feel like so many of us don't have a healthy relationship with it. And for me, there's like, and that's why this is an interesting topic, because I've battled this duality for many, many, many years. The immigrant version, and then there's like Canadian corporate version. I've been lucky enough to build and exit 3 different companies in my lifetime. From the age of 18, I actually did the math and looked at, okay, I've been selling out of desperation, and then I started selling out of passion. Then I started selling out of desperation again, because we grew big enough where I need to, sort of feed the team. And then I got married, and then I had kids, and then, like, the pressure continues. And it's really interesting because when I look back from the age of 18 or 19 up until, let's say, 40, 45, I have personally went out and secured close to $50 million in revenue. We're not talking profit, we're talking revenue. That's like door knocking, convincing somebody to buy something I was selling from the age of 18 or 19. And when you take a step back and you look at that number, you go, man, like, that is like 1,000% more than what my parents ever earned. Yet you still have this unhealthy relationship when it comes to money, because you're afraid that everything's going to be gone tomorrow. Even though nothing in my history, nothing in my past has demonstrated that I do not have the ability to earn a living. And when money becomes healthier, when your relationship with what you need, how much you need, why you need becomes more clear, we open up this blind spot of opportunities, because we're no longer focused on hoarding and surviving, we're focused on building and nurturing. And that really is what this Making Money Moves is all about, is to share ideas and philosophies around money, is to help people figure out how to get your startup, your idea, your stress pivoted, and so much of it is literally shifting our mindset into thinking about money from a different perspective. uh, this is also a forum for me to like continue to do what I love doing, which is mentoring and coaching. And before COVID, when Bala Group was up and running, I literally would have 10 meetings a day where startups uh, would reach out, founders would reach out, and we'll just talk about their ideas. And most of the ideas were awesome, with a little bit of pivot and a little bit of tweak that experience and scars have taught me. I'm no genius. I've fought uh, nail and tooth, or teeth and nail, or whatever they say, to get to where I've been able to get to. And even now, I get anxiety that, man, my kids are growing up, and how do we constantly secure more money versus how do we think about what is it that you like to do. Anytime I shift the mindset from making money to what do I want to do and how can I help people, I tend to make more money. Give you an example. Daisy Fest is a non-for-profit, but we started it knowing, okay, we want to make some money, but we want to help a bunch of artists. We want to bring the community together, and etc. And that turned into money. Yes, it was like dogfight to go get sponsorships, but the fight is not as hard anymore when you know kind of what you want to do. And then the first year we made 5 or 10K, and then we started making more and more and more. And at some point in our height over our last 14 years, there was years where we were making $200,000-$300,000, and then we give 90% of it away to the artists, and what we make is enough for us to feel happy that we're in this game, and we're able to do it. Same thing in my agency. I don't share this often, but when I go out to speak to people and keynoting and things like that, people are always like, serial entrepreneur, oh my gosh, where did you get the motivation to get out and start your first business? And the truth is, I was scared. I was motivated by fear. I had no idea how to start a company or what is it that I wanted to do. All I knew is coming out of university, my very first interview was with KPMG. And the guy had an interview with me, and then he said, we can't hire you. And he gave me a bunch of reasons. And I remember going home, and this was just like a campus interview, right? Like, it wasn't even a real interview. Like, everybody's in the gym, and you go and you pimp yourself out. And I remember going home that day going, man, this motherfucker from KPMG who has no idea about my background, the hustle that I almost got kicked out of my house, and the last 5 years was not something that was promised. I had to pay my way through OSAP and struggle, and I still somehow got my 80s, and I still got my scholarship, and I still was the student body president, and I was still rocking parties. He had no idea of my journey, but this guy looked at a piece of paper and decided my future with this company wasn't the right time. And that moved me so deep where I said, I never want to be rejected again. I never want to walk into another interview where somebody else decides whether I'm good enough to give you 20 hours of my fucking life. And even if it meant I'm going to starve, even if it meant I'm going to hustle, even if it meant I'm going to have to sell drugs, I didn't give a shit. I was like, I'm going to get out there and build my own legacy, regardless of what it was. If I'm stuck doing whatever I got to do, it's whatever I got to do. I went this far. I trusted myself, and I said, let's go. And that was my first business, pimping out websites, man. I'll talk to anybody that had a business, because this was when the internet was just happening. And anybody who had $1, I would take it. I would sell a site for $50. I would sell it for $10. I would sell it for $300. I didn't give a shit, because my belief system is that we think we want $1 million, and we wait so long for this big thing that we forget that to get to $1 million, you got to get to 10, and then 50, and then 100, then 1,000, and then 10,000, and then 100,000. It's the momentum that creates that making money moves. And I learned that so early in life that for me, every venture I start, every business I invest in, every new idea I start, I always look at, well, how do I build momentum? And that for me has been the secret sauce. And so, whether it's AC Fast, whether it's my Bala bow ties, whether what it is. And the beautiful thing about building momentum is when you focus on building momentum, it's very easy to figure out when to get the fuck out. You know, I had a bow tie company, and we said, hey, let's get to the first 5 sales. Then we know we got 5 legit customers that paid $50 for a bow tie. If that works, we'll get to 50. Then we'll get to 100. Then we'll get to 1,000. And we never got to 50. We tried so hard to pimp out all of these bow ties, and we couldn't get past 30. And then we said, screw it. We're going to stop. Ahmed, great question. Do you invest money? Absolutely. I invest money into smaller startups, especially in the 0 to MVP. The 0 to MVP, for those of you that don't know, most valuable product is when somebody says, hey, I have an idea for something. I think it's a really cool solution. If we can build it, at least a dozen people will buy it. And that is the game. How do we get the first customer, the first 5 customers, the first 10 customers? Because when you can get that first 10, to visualize your first 100, to visualize your first 1,000, it's pretty easy. But when you can't get to your first 1, you can't get to your first 50, the math is very simple. And so, yes, I've been investing in a bunch of small companies. Unfortunately, with COVID, a bunch of them sort of went out the door. But it's everything is about building momentum, man. And that's, you know, what making money moves is. You know, how do we share? How do we think? The schools are not teaching us how to have a better relationship with ourselves. And anybody who's getting into business, your number one partner is the guy you look at in the mirror, is the person you're staring at in the mirror. And we don't realize that the number one person you're getting into bed with literally every single day is yourself. And the sooner you figure out who the fuck you are, or at least start to ask those questions about why am I doing this? What am I trying to get out of it? What impact can I create? And sometimes we think impact is something that is massive and needs to be done for the world. I have no interest in the world when I was in my 20s. I didn't care anything about what's happening in India, Africa. It doesn't matter for me. I know people out there were suffering and hurting, and could I have done something? Maybe, maybe not. But I was so focused on making sure I knew what the hell I wanted to do, who I was, because the best of you is what the world demands, man. The best of you is what the world demands. And when you can figure out the best of you, every person you touch, every person you come across with, it's so easy to leave a bit of awesomeness. Why nowadays we are all running to be so-called self-made? You know, I think it's a reaction. It's a reaction to what we're not getting. You know, the promise of, hey, go to school, spend your 5 years, get a degree, there'll be a job waiting for you that'll pay you a decent amount of money to pay back your debts, and then start a decent life, find somebody you love. That was the promise. And in many ways, we're still preaching that to even today's generation. And that has gone out the door, man. There's nobody getting up in the morning waiting to give you a job. There's nobody waking up today going, Anthony, what can I do for him? You know, he's a good guy. How can I help him? Shout out, Anthony. I just called you because I saw you. Thank you so much for joining me, man. And so what we've realized, back to our tribal mindset, this is way back thousands and millions of years. We got up and we went into the world and figured out what we needed and found a way to go get it. Whether you're hunting for food thousands of years ago, or you're trying to figure out what to sell. And that hasn't really changed. It's just got really dumbed down with these fake promises of economic support for everybody. It doesn't exist. And so when the world has changed and recession kicked in or COVID kicks in, and people can't deliver that promise, you start to think about being self-made. And unfortunately, there's no real guidelines or rule books or support networks for people that want to do it on their own. There isn't. If there is, I would have already jumped in on that game. There isn't. And the ones that is there come from a position of privilege, unfortunately. People that never had to starve, people that had just enough of a plan B, just enough of a safety net, where it was okay, it was cool, like, I'm gonna try, see what's up. Some of us don't. Some of us don't have that. And when you don't have a safety net and you're all in, that is when you get some of the greatest lessons possible in life. And that for me is what this is about. What up, Blitz? Thank you guys so much. I had no idea who's gonna show up. It was gonna be either me talking to the camera and recording, but regardless, I ain't stopping. Those of you that know me, I get really obsessed about things, and when I get obsessed about things, I just do it. And I just do it because I needed to do it. And this is one of those things where this is as much therapy for myself as it is for you guys. And it's also a great way for me to document shit for my kids. Nobody knows how to fucking parent. And so these videos, hopefully, if they live on forever, is how I can continue to share wisdom with my kids. They tend to pay attention to Instagram more than listening to dad. So, it is what it is. I sometimes feel like we're all just running and COVID stops us. That's a great point, man. I think what COVID really did is stop the world like never before. I've always said, hey, what's up, Vishal? I've always said, hey, I keep hustling until I can't hustle anymore. But I've never said, what if, the world stops? And that's what happened the last, 6-7 months for me, where all of a sudden everything that I was working on stopped because of the world, not because of me. Customers disappeared. The companies we're investing in died. And all of a sudden you're like, man, even if I get up every morning and I'm healthy and I'm ready to make 10 phone calls and I can go, nobody's on the other side. And that for us is an alarming new reality. And it's gonna change. It'll shift. People will get through. We're resilient. Look how far we've come in life. Ain't nothing gonna wipe us out. But what it showed is a lot of kinks in the armor. It also shows how selfish some of us are. In times of need, we lock down versus open up. So that's been really an interesting eye opener for me. People don't care about teaching, sharing. I think we need to put it out there. I think we need to at least open these dialogues. And most of the time, it's really just a dump of content. And then what you get from it really depends on how open you are. Some of you have seen that YouTube video. There's a guy in a classroom, and he's got that glass, and he's putting stuff in, right? He's like, hey, I put all the rocks in. Like, is it cool? And everybody's like, yeah, it's full. And he's like, well, I'm gonna put some pebbles in. And then, is there any more space left? Yes. And then it's locked down. He's like, well, what about some sand? And then it looks completely full. Like there's no space to put anything else. And he's able to pour some more water. And so some of us live that lifestyle. We continuously create room for a little bit more. Some of us, as soon as the rocks go in the cup, we're like, yo, I'm done learning. I got no more space for anything else in my life. And those are the people that I'm afraid of, because they go out into the world and they bring that attitude and they influence and they impact everybody else that they see. And for me, that is the thing that we have to change. That is the attitude we have to change. I live by a very simple rule. How can I get a little bit better every single day? What is my 1% improvement? I read this amazing article about 10 years ago. Tony Robbins also actually said it. I don't know if you guys know, but the definition of like gorgeous, beautiful, and somebody good looking is a 1% difference in something in your face. Can you imagine that? Like an average looking person who's decent looking to somebody who's considered gorgeous, runway, like models, on covers of Vogue, whatever. The difference between that person and the other person is 1%, something totally simple, almost not noticeable, that makes them become that much more better. And I remember reading the article going, man, how can I be 1% better? And if you do the math, and those of you that joined maybe 10 minutes ago, if you do the math and my philosophy around momentum building, because you can't predict the end result. Okay, you can't predict the end result. All you have is momentum. And when you create momentum, whether it's in personal belief, habits, money, hustle, whatever it is, when you create that momentum, it starts to sort of add up. And so I told myself 10 years ago, if I can aim for 1% improvement in something, whether it's my diet, whether it's my workout, whether it's my ability to read like 5 more pages a night, 1 more phone call a day, a hello message to a friend, listen to a different type of tracks or something, a 1% improvement per day at the end of a year creates 365% difference. Can you imagine if for the next 5 years, for the next 3 years, you can change 365% different than who you were the previous year? That I think is a beautiful math. And the kind of person you will become, the kind of thoughts that you could have, the kind of opportunities you can create for yourself, the kind of magic that you'll invite into your life, or the people that you can bring into your life. Pure magic. And it's a conscious decision to be 1% better than yesterday. And the compounding becomes an incredible opportunity. And so that's what the show is about. I really don't have a plan beyond that to just share. I'm also working on a book. It started as something called The Entrepreneur, Heart of an Entrepreneur. And I didn't like it. And I said, what's the point? What am I trying to share? And I realized one of the things I figured out late in my 40s is, what am I good in? What am I good at? What are my strengths? And I stopped focusing on my weaknesses and started really focusing on what I'm good at. In the last 2 to 3 years, my mental health, my emotional stability, my income, my ideas have all become much sharper once I started to focus on the things that I'm really good at and let go consciously of the things that I suck at and know that I suck at it and try not to spend any time to getting better at it. Gary Vee says that all the time. And when I first heard it, I'm like, what the fuck is he talking about, man? We're told every single day in school, in most of our lives, focus on your weakness, focus on your weakness. You suck in math, do math 8 more hours. You suck in English, read 50 more books. And here I am saying, hey man, the shit that I'm bad at it just doesn't resonate up here. But the 4 things that I'm really good at, solving problems, looking at the world from an opportunity perspective, really connecting with other humans and having the balls to take the risks, knowing I can't really lose. You can't lose. How could you lose if the first 3 are in place, right? Think about it. What's our number 1 fear? Money. Why do we need money? To eat, and we need a place to live. A wild idea. Go make 52 incredible friends that you can support. 52 people that you got their back and they got your back. 52 people. The reason it's 52 people is if all shit goes to hell, you take some really, really big risks, and all of a sudden, you lose your money, you lose your house, you don't know what the fuck to do. Guess what? 52 people will let you sleep on their couch 1 week at a time. 52. And you get an entire year of living on a couch with 0 expense. And if 52 people will feed you at least 2 to 3 times a week, and you make just enough money to cover the rest, by investing in people, investing in relationships, investing in giving first before taking, not having money to eat, not having a place to sleep, are not a huge issue anymore. And that was a mind-blowing experience in my head when I figured that out. So I said, okay, so let me reverse my formula. Instead of chasing money and hoarding and thinking me first, I'm going to invest in people, build great relationships, and give more than I can take. And if the other 2 are there, a bonus. If for whatever reason someone fucks out, can I call 52 people and they'll let me sleep on a couch? Hell yeah, I believe so. So what am I afraid of? Let's go. Let's figure out what to do. So for me, that's the mindset. I felt like there's so much of this in me that I wanted to share. And this is the life that I imagined, to be fully blunt. When I got into my 40s, my hope was to share this journey and sharing, helping some people and also sort of deal with my own demons. I'm not perfect. None of us are. We all need an outlet. I just happen to not want to pay for therapy and rather speak to a bunch of people online and make some friends and share. And in sharing, I heal better than just sitting around talking about stuff. So we got a few more minutes left before we bounce. If you have any other questions, feel free to please feel free to ask. Zilna, what's up? So good to see you. How important is to have a mentor? I think it's really important to have mentors, but I hate the word mentor. It implies a one-way relationship where you show up and you say, hey, Sathish, mentor me. And then Sathish, the almighty wisdom person, says, da. That's the model that I hate. I always hated it. What we really need is peer relationship, peer-to-peer support, people that you can reach out to and have the confidence to be vulnerable. I think that's the part that's really missing. How many of us have anybody in our network today that we can seriously call up now and be totally honest about what you're feeling? Anxiety, love, stress, fears. So for me, it's having people in your relationship that you could be vulnerable with. And then when they are truly sort of mentors, what you're looking for is inspiration. There's so many people that I look to and go, man, I want to be that guy. I want to be in that position of influence. And I want to be in that position of support and success. And for me, that's inspiration. And that could be a one-way relationship because they have no idea who I am. I'm just following them because I'm inspired, and I take parts of their life and I mimic it and try to move it into my 1%. But for me, mentors are really a vulnerable situation. Man, why is Blitz asking me these hard questions, bro? It's 9 o'clock, man. I'm just kidding. I love this guy. If you're not following Blitz, please do. I think the theory of 10,000 hours of practice. I think practice is an important thing. I live at it from a different perspective. For me, it's not about 10,000. It's about being obsessed. If it's 10,000, great. If you're somebody who needs some numeric sort of guidelines, great. For me, what are you obsessed about? Not what do you like. Think about that question for a second, okay? It's not about, hey, what do you want to grow up and be, or what do you like to do? What are you obsessed about? And obsession is a beautiful thing if you know how to funnel it, if you know how to let it fuel you, okay? We live in a world where it's ultra competitive. We live in a world where somebody's trying to eat your lunch every single day globally. Whether you're making music, whether you're trying to move up the ladder in a business, whether you're trying to get a job, whether you're trying to kick off a startup, whether you're trying to be a dad. You know how many role models my kids see online that are 1,000 times different and better and unique? So in every situation, what up, Cam? Sal, what's up? There is a opportunity to be the best version of yourself. This is not by any means how anybody else should do it, but for me, I start with, what am I obsessed about? And the things that obsess me are the things that I want to invest the most amount of time as often as possible. The things that make you sleep late, get up early. Like, I was pumped about today, man. I've been thinking about it for the last 2 weeks. And I had my alarm set at 6 a.m. and then another alarm at 6:30 a.m. so that I can make sure I get up, did some work, got into the groove, listened to the right music to get myself into the mood without any idea who the hell is going to show up today, or if you're going to come back tomorrow or the next day or the next day. And yeah, this could be Anu, what's up? Yes, this could be a weekly show or a monthly show. Some people can do that. But for me, the things that I get excited about, things I get obsessed about, I need to do it every single day. This is my 1%, as I said. And so for me, that's the answer, bro. Like, do what you got to do, but find something that you're obsessed about. For some of us, it's not our 9 to 5, and that's okay. Put in the time, do the great work you can 9 to 5, and then every other hour that you can dedicate to whatever makes you happy by being obsessed, do it. Nirmala, would you be able to incorporate ideas of basic money management into your sessions? So that's the whole idea. I think we want to figure out how to share different ideas around money, and it's not as cut and dry. Money is such a emotional thing. It's almost as crazy as like love. We don't understand it, but we all want to fall in love. And we don't get money, but we all want as much of it. And in both cases, love and money, too much will actually hurt you. Finding the balance is important. Knowing why is important. Knowing when is important. We've seen so many cases of people making money too early, too much without discipline and losing it all. Or people who didn't find their obsession and passion till much later and they had a struggle to get there. You know, for me, it's a passed down generational thing. How your parents deal with money is how you deal with money. You know, I'll tell you guys a crazy story. When we moved to Canada for like almost 15 years or so, we lived like shit. We lived in these broken down basement apartments, and I remember like our first 2 condos had rats everywhere in Scarborough. And I imagine thinking, man, why the fuck did we leave Singapore to come all the way here to live like shit? Like, what's the promise of a better life? I don't get it. And as I got older and older and I was able to get out of the shadow of my parents, then I started to look around and go, okay, this is why this country is amazing. This is why the opportunities that I have wouldn't have existed in Singapore. And my dad, bless his heart, like he lived like we're gonna be broke the next day because he was asked from a very young age to hoard. Every dollar needs to be packed away because tomorrow it might be all taken away. And I remember when he passed away and like, you know, he had a will. I was like, he had a will? Well, how much money does this guy have? And it was the first time I realized my dad died a very rich man. It is crazy when you think about it, that his entire life's purpose was to defend the family at all costs. And his way of doing it was to disconnect from the family and to just work as hard as he can to make as much money as he can so that when one day the rainy day happens and everything goes to shit, that he can save us. And that mindset was ingrained in him from his parents. And he's never been to the CN Tower. He's never left the country. He's never had a vacation. He's never had any new clothes. And he just lived that lifestyle. And I remember thinking about that at his funeral going, man, for me, that's not the relationship I want with money. And I'm going to figure out how to not only do the things I love, but have a healthy relationship, understand what I want, when I want. And don't get me wrong, I'm from the hood. If you can make $1, you make $1. That's your Sats B talking right now. But there's a way to do it where you can still be happy about the process and live your balanced life and look up and see what's going down. And that's what the show's about. So it's a very unstructured morning conversation. For me, this is sharing and also listening and have some therapy. Some of your questions are fantastic. As I said, I'm working on a book. I've never written the first book. I started writing it last summer, and 78 pages in, stopped because I wasn't sure what the focus is anymore. It started sounding like a biography, and I'm like, I'm way too early to write a biography, man. But the dots that I was trying to connect is what is the process to discover what makes you tick, and what are some of the ways I did it, and then create a blueprint. So hopefully it'll come out next summer. I'm in no rush, but I'm learning how to do it. I still wanted to have a bit of a takeaway or giveaway for you guys. So let me just sort of jump in. I'm learning how to use Instagram, like almost like a slideshow. So yeah, bear with me. Any comments around like structure, format is great. I would really love any feedback. And my goal is this duality between the Sats B and Sathish, which I explained in my post. The sides of me that is just straight up ghetto, let us go make $1. Don't take no for an answer. And that version is really important in some areas of business. And there's the other side of me, which is a suit and tie dude for years that are taking that bit more of a conservative, strategic approach. And I've always found both of them clash. Like, how can I release it? And it's only in the last 5 years or so I realized both make me who I am. So I embrace both sides. And then whoever needs to step out today to be the hero to help me get to that 1%, takes the job. And so I live in both now, which is awesome. um, so yeah, so some 2020 things to share. Anybody's looking out, for a bit of a support as we come out of COVID. Um, the easy one is shit happens, man. I've learned this many, 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 many times in my life now, from the cancer scare to all the businesses that we invested in pretty much shutting down, to getting dissed in my first few jobs. It's funny, I tell you guys, right after I sold the company, so those of you that listened in the beginning, my first gig was at KPMG, and the guy said no at the interview. So I was like, fuck it, I'm never going to get a job. I'm going to go and be my own boss for many, many different reasons. But after I sold the company, this is like, I'm 43, I just sold the company, 65 people, 4 countries, CEO, fully branded. I come out, and then 3 months into it, I was bored as hell. I was like, what do I do next? Ryerson hasn't called yet to like start the incubator and stuff. So a recruiter reached out and he said, hey, there's a company that's looking for a CEO to start a new division. And would you be interested? And I said, oh, I've never had a job, so why don't I go check it out, get interviewed for the very first time. So I went to this company, and there's a board that was hiring a new CEO to take the Toronto office. I can do that job with my eyes closed. It's a no-brainer. So I went for the interview, and the guy was like, look, you've never reported to a board, so we're concerned that you're a wild gun, and like, you're not going to be able to like follow the guidelines. And I remember driving home going, man, 25 years later, same shit. Somebody's got an opinion on what they want, but they're not willing to break the rules to get the help they want. And it was a great reinforcement in my head. It was like, the path I've chosen is the path I want to stay on. And as long as the rules could be adjusted, my belief system with money, the people I invest in, the relationships that I've built, then I know exactly what value I bring to the table and where I need to ask for help. And I don't have any shy bones. If I'm hurting, if I'm losing business, I need some support, or I need to do something, I have no ego to be able to reach out to people, because I know shit happens. Things change. There's a famous quote: the people you step on the way up are the people you're going to have to see on your way down. So I don't step on anybody. I try to figure out how to raise everybody with me, And so for me, it's shit happens. You can't control it. COVID has shown us now that things even out of your control can fuck you up. The only thing you can control is your choice on how to react. And my reaction was shit. I was so depressed. I'm an Aquarius. I don't know if anybody else is an Aquarius watching. If you are, please comment below. I'm an Aquarius, and for me, I'm a very emotional person. To get out of bed, I need a lot of energy. And once I get out of bed, I don't want to go back to bed, because I know I have to do that every single morning. I have to really get energized. You know what I'm saying, and so for me, this energy is really important. So I really needed to figure out, like, how do I get out of bed when everything I've been working on, ACFast, my incubator, we spent over $200,000 in investment getting to this year, gone. And it's not like I have a 9 to 5, so I got to make that money back after taxes, So I literally couldn't get out of bed for most of end of March, and I was just depressed. And then I said, okay, what do we got? I could choose how to react. I can either lie in bed and be just sad about it. I can get out and try to get a job. I could look at what are the things that I want to continue to get better at. Maybe pick a weakness and see if I want to go all in, and just go, right? And so I said, fuck it, I'm going to go all in on music, because emotionally it makes me happy. I get excited every time I listen to new music. Why not? And so we started Sofa Sessions on April 4th. Many people think it's because it's for the community. Absolutely. I love the community that we built. But the reason we started Sofa Sessions was for me and my need to get out of my own depression and I needed to get obsessed about something every single day. And I got nerdy about live streaming and audio and bit rate and finding new talent and just going all in. And we haven't stopped since April 4th. Over 75 artists, million impressions. All the stats that we celebrate came out of a need to focus on 1% because shit happened, and I chose to react a certain way. So how you choose is the only control you have, y'all. This is a big one. Stop talking to people who are stuck on proving you wrong. So many people want you to speak to them, but they want really for you to listen to their opinion. And 99% of us, unfortunately, look at the world half empty. That didn't make any sense. Let me say it again. Half empty. Meaning for them, they're shut down. They literally want to tell you all the things you can't do. And this just happened to me, okay? This just happened to me. I'm working on a new company called Applause. We're tipping engine, changing into a bit more booking and all this live streaming stuff. But I called a mentor of mine, and I said, hey, man, I'm building this thing. It's a tipping engine, and and for some reason, like, maybe because he doesn't like to tip, or he's not an artist, or he doesn't understand a culture that gives musicians money. But he spent the next hour telling me why this is a shitty idea and why people won't use it, and why, even though we're in 4 countries, even though we're generating just under $2,000 a day, not a lot of money, but momentum, enough to show that people are using it. And if I can get to $10 and get to 100 and get to 1,000 and get to 10,000 and get to 100,000 and I get to 1,000,000. The point is there's traction. So 30 minutes into it, I'm like, wow. And my ego kicked in. And I'm like, nah, you're wrong. Look at the stats. Look at the data. And he's like, nah. And 30 minutes into it, I said, let him just exhaust himself. I'll just listen. I don't care how long it takes, the next 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 1 hour. I just want him to tell me all of the reasons that this is a shitty idea according to his world. And he did. He took the next 40 minutes, broke it all down, completely exhausted his need to share this stuff. I said, thank you. I said, peace out. With the hope that I've sucked out all of his negative energy in that moment. I've completely emptied out his cup, that the next person who calls him as a mentor for advice can get some fresh, incredible support. And the truth is, if people don't get your shit, they don't get your shit. It's cool. Not everybody is going to understand you. And the sooner you realize that somebody doesn't get you, you move the fuck on. Last one. The people you give and receive energy are very important, man. I'm an Aquarius, as I said before. I guard my energy levels so much because for me, that is my gift. That is my gift to everybody I meet. The Sathish Sats B energy you get from me. And I guard it because when I give, I have to receive. You can't just give. And so I guard what I give because I know what I'm getting back in return is going to impact me. And it took a really long time for me to understand that for myself, that what I give, I'm getting back. And so who I give to is really important. I can count for you in less than 5 fingers the people I have in my circle, like my real circle. Because everybody else outside the circle, the energy doesn't align. And for the longest time, it was really, really depressing. I'll tell you a real story. This is like 7 years ago, at the height of my career, thousands of friends on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, etc. And I'm on a trip to Israel, and my passport was expired. I didn't realize until 3 days before my flight. So I'm running to the embassy going, man, I need to get this passport done real quick. And I get to the express lineup, and the girl's like, here's the form. Fill out 3 people that we can call that will verify you and everything about you. And I was like, okay. There's Michelle, my brother, my sister, and then a couple of homies. But I can't put the first three because they're family. And I only have two. I still need one more person to make it three. And I can tell you today, being super vulnerable, I couldn't think of a third person. And I was sitting there, really, really like thinking through that moment, going, wow, like I've limited my circle so much that I can't put a third person on a simple passport to be able to get something to go to Israel. And that's when I realized how important my energy level is and who I put it out. And you know, up to that point, I've completely shut it down because I didn't want to like get something back in return. But since then, I've been investing a lot in people and knowing that, okay, I'm going to give you energy, I'm going to give back something. Might not be the cleanest, but we're going to get into a relationship. And so, you know, everybody that you meet, understand that what you give, you're going to get something back. And if what you get back is not good, stop it. Move on. People don't change. You know, I talk to this about my sister all the time. I'm like, if the energy you get back is not the energy you want, move the fuck on. It hurts you more than it hurts them because they don't even know what they're doing. So it's not their problem. That's their energy. So guard your energy as often as you can.